YouTube? Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast Talking Auburn Football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. And as always, even today, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Auburn coming off the thrilling victory over, of all people, Georgia State. Now, I did on my prediction show, I thought Auburn would win this game 45-0. As a matter of fact, if the second half would have been any indication of the whole game, I would have been absolutely right. But Auburn could not get anything going offensively. So I'm going to give you my 5 takeaways from this particular football game as Auburn enters the brutal stretch of the SEC, starting against LSU next week. Number one, the offensive line still has a lot of work to do. I was actually impressed with the offensive line with the help of the tight ends in the first couple of games, as tight ends was pulling to help supplement the offensive tackle. But this team still has a lot to do as far as offensive line push, offensive line pass protection. Just has a lot to do as far as work if this team is going to be successful. I mean, it was just obvious at times. You talk about TJ Finley struggled a little bit with the offensive line, but still managed to make plays. Bo Nix, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on, just really struggled his way out of the football game to where he had no answers as to how he could provide any kind of leadership for this football team. Number 2, we got some battles going on here. Jarquez Hunter and Tank Bigsby could possibly be somewhat of a battle. I don't want to call that because I'm really a big fan of Tank Bigsby, but considering the fact that he makes that fumble down the stretch during a critical part of the football game, and Jarquez Hunter is pretty much trusted as a true freshman to lead this team to victory over Georgia State, that speaks a lot of volumes as to the decision-making of Brian Harsin that says, look, we're going to win at all costs. We don't care who the favorite is. We're going to figure out a way to win the football game with the right personnel in the game. And it appeared that, Jarquez Hunter down the stretch, even in the most pressure type situation, was the right guy for the job. And, it's tough decisions to make. Might not be a crowd favorite, but I'd rather win with the unpopular decision versus losing with the popular decision in this particular case. Number 3, big shout out to the Auburn special teams who continue to anchor this football team, whether it's the field goals, whether it's the block punts that turn into scores. Really big shout out to the special teams on this particular football game, changing the tide in a situation to where this was just one of those games that Auburn offensively just could not get any type of system, could not get any type of momentum going. And, I think Kalen Newton would be credited with the block punt for a touchdown. I mean, I have to look back at the film to see for sure. But that was a huge momentum building play. I think we're at number 3. Number 4. How about the Auburn defense in the second half without Zacoby McClain in the first half, without Owen Papo in the first half? As a matter of fact, I'm so crazy, man. I'm thinking number 10 was Zacoby Owen Papo in the game in the first half, and it was actually, I can't think of his name off top, but it wasn't Owen Papo for sure. I thought it was him. But either way, the Auburn defense, once Zacoby McClain came back, gave them that spark. He's a leader on his football team. No disrespect to Auburn in the first half, but when you're used to having that leadership, you play different. And then when it came back in the second half, Georgia State had 0 points in the second half. I'm not even sure if they crossed the 50-yard line in that second half. A huge deal for Auburn. I think we're at number 4. Number 5, Auburn has to depending on who the quarterback is now, Auburn has a quarterback controversy at this point. TJ Finley off the bench helps Auburn, has some heroics, makes some good decisions, leads Auburn to victory, and you just can't discount that. Even after a couple of unsuccessful drives by TJ Finley, Brian Harsin made the decision to keep putting him in because there's something in this that led him to believe that TJ Finley was the best option in this situation. Now, will the situation be long term? I mean, we don't know yet. But all I know is late down the stretch, TJ Finley was an option. Strangely enough, Tank Bigsby was not in the game during the crucial points of the football game for Auburn. So we got a long week, guys. I know a lot of you Auburn fans are really, kind of on edge and like, man, we won't be able to beat Georgia with a performance like this. We won't be able to beat Alabama with a performance like this. I want you to rewind yourself back to 2017 when Auburn struggled with Mercer and actually beat Georgia and Alabama, who were #1 ranked teams in the same year. Conversely, I want you to look back to 2015 where Auburn struggled with Jacksonville State and had, ironically, LSU the next week, and that was a pretty long season. So this thing could go a couple of different ways. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.